Good afternoon. This is Rich Nass with Open Systems Media, and I'm here for this week's installment of 5 Minutes With. Our special guest this week is Ken Caviasca, and he is the Vice President and General Manager for the Internet of Things Group for Intel. Good afternoon, Ken. How are you?
I'm great. How are you today?
I'm doing just fine. Thank you very much. Okay, so it's very clear that Intel has gone all in on IoT. Why is that? What's the reason? Is IoT something that's going to be with us for a long time? Is it a fad that everybody's just jumping on before it disappears? What's the reason Intel is getting into this?
Well, I mean, from my viewpoint, Rich, I mean, Intel's been in the progression of IoT for decades. I mean, in the areas of where we are in IoT, they've grown out of the embedded business and come from intelligent systems, and now they're expanding and growing into many more applications. And certainly there are applications that are cool and interesting that look like fads, but a lot of our business that we're doing in Intel are based on critical business-to-business applications, like in-vehicle navigation, car communication, autonomous driving, factory automation, retail point of sale or digital signage. All these things are real businesses that are continuing to evolve on rich media content and real-time control systems. And that's why we're so excited about it, because as IT and OT come together, there's a lot of growth opportunities that are building upon our base businesses that we're already in.
You know, that's interesting. One of the things I like to say about IoT is that there's really nothing new about it except the name. And Intel, as you said, has been in this business for a long time. And if I remember right, they coined the phrase embedded Internet, maybe 10 years ago, and it's pretty much the same thing. Isn't that true?
I mean, I think there's always two sides to the coin, and so yes, it is. I mean, it builds a lot upon the embedded Internet or the intelligent systems group that we had moving into IoT, and so definitely is a progression. But it does, it is accelerating, and it is requiring new, unique capabilities in the platform. So why it's building upon, I think you can't take the traditional systems from 15 years ago and meet the growth needs of the Internet of Things. Things like security, advanced connectivity, vision and imaging systems, these things are evolving and putting increased requirements as I said earlier, IT systems collide with operational technology systems, and as you start to control and actuate things, those features become paramount in their platform requirement.
Yeah, that's certainly fair enough, and I would agree with that. Okay, so let me take this on a different path. I see from your bio you've been with Intel for a very long time, and Andy Grove just passed away. What was it like working for Intel in those early days when I assume these guys like Andy Grove and Gordon Moore and Bob Noyce were walking around there? What was it like back then?
For me, you're right, Rich. I mean, I grew up in my professional career at Intel. And first of all, Andy was a fantastic leader in the technology industry, and we all owe him a lot, both from an industry and I know personally I owe him a lot in terms of the coaching and the role modeling that he has set for Intel's foundation. And working with Andy, he was the type of person that was so involved across the corporation. At the time when I started Intel, we were about 35,000 employees, but yet he took the time to actually meet with people like me as a junior engineer to develop and coach and make sure I understood the direction that Intel was going. Just absolutely fantastic in terms of talking about any area of the business, process technology, or the product. We've yet to have a CEO that could cover the breadth and depth of knowledge that Andy demonstrated while he was running the company. He truly is one of a kind, and we're very sad to see him pass.
So it sounds like these were very approachable people.
Oh, Andy was very approachable, but he had a very hard shell, and so sometimes people judge by the cover on the book. but Andy was a very engaged and supportive person, but extremely demanding. And so, sometimes the user interface, of course, everybody's read about that, could be very gruff and direct, but his intention was always right if he felt the person was driving in the right direction and trying to do the right thing for our customers in the business. And that works just fine with me. I have a pretty thick-skin type environment, and he definitely would push the envelope on that when he needed to get the results.
And do you feel that those principles that he put in place way back then are still in place at the company?
I mean, I think the basic foundation of what Andy has put in place are still here. I mean, of course, as we all know, the management styles of the 80s don't work with the current generation of engineers coming from the universities. So as many companies, Intel's has evolved in terms of, how that interaction goes. But the core disciplines around, quality, customer orientation, and making and meeting your result commitments are still foundational for Intel.
Okay, so I have to put you on the spot here. I often ask in these interviews about young engineers coming into the workforce, about people coming out of college. You just said that the engineer of today is very different from the one that was designing in the 80s, say. What is the biggest difference between a 2014 graduate, say, as opposed to a 1985 graduate?
Yeah, I can give you my personal perspective on that. I'm sure there's many different perspectives across Intel, but I think that the folks that are coming out of the universities today are just fantastic from the world point of view and what they've been exposed to as a result of the internet and the education and the way that the whole news and sharing of information is so different now than it was in the 80s. And they come in with a much broader set of expectations in terms of the autonomy that they would like, the flexibility they would like, and the creativity that they would like to bring to work. And those are all great things if you put them in the appropriate, environment and really foster their ideas to be listened to. I think, back in the 80s, it was more of, I think people were very disciplined and interested in the job, and they wanted to prove themselves first for several years before they would ask for anything. And that's the big difference in the new crop of engineers, is they're very willing to ask for what they want right away, and what they think they could do to change and improve the company that they're part of. And so that's a good thing if you handle it the appropriate way.
Wow, that's a great perspective. Thank you very much. I'm afraid that we are out of time for our 5-minute interview, so I would like to thank you. That was Ken Caviasca, and he is the Vice President General Manager for the Internet of Things Group of Intel, and I'm Rich Natz with Open Systems Media. Have a great day, Ken.
Thank you, Rich, for the opportunity. We'll talk to you later.
Very good. Thank you.